Hello and welcome to a new Scale 500 news video here on the channel. Earlier this year, I was able to break the news to you guys that we have a new player in the Scale 500 market in form of Aether Model. Since then, we have followed the development of the company, we've looked at the announcements they have made, but today is a very special day. On this summer day in July, a rainy summer day in July, the time has finally come where we can take a look at the first assembled models. Fully assembled, all prints added. So you know what that means? It's breaking news time. Oh, and if you like this type of content, then don't forget to leave a like. It really does help out the channel. So it was only last week that I could show you some very first images of, well, these still not assembled models, but images right from the factory where the prints had been applied to the various parts of these aircraft models. But now it is time to see the sample models. So that does mean the models with all parts attached and of course all prints applied. And the very first model we will take a look at is the North Atlantic 787-9. And here it is, the very first images of the new North Atlantic Airways 787-9 in scale 500, an airline that has never been featured in that scale so far. Now, from these very first images, what I can say is that I really do like the saturation of the colors. Of course, this is something that can change depending on light and also how images are edited. So we will see if this is also something we will get when the models are in front of us, although I do expect it. What we can also see is a really lovely amount of detailing. I really like, for example, the engines, how detailed that is. And we can also see already, for example, what registration code this aircraft model is based on. That's the Lima November Foxtrot November Alpha, a to-date about 6-year-old aircraft that had a past with Norwegian Air Sweden, so it has been in the Norwegian North family for quite a while. Really cool to see the model now fully assembled. Really also like, I mean, we have details around the front, and again, you know I'm a sucker for that. Also, when we in general look at the print, it seems like a really clean print. I don't really see any smudges, at least on this model. Again, these are sample models and we will have to see how the models are actually then when we have them in front of us ourselves, but for now I think this looks like a really clean print. Now let's follow up with the Eva Air 787-9, and with the Eva Air we're getting the aircraft that is featuring the registration code Bravo 17885. Also at time of recording an airframe that is about 6 years old, but unlike the Norse, this airframe has always been with Eva Air, so from day one. Now apart from the again really quite satisfyingly saturated colors, I did also notice the writing of the 787, which changes its color kind of from image to image depending on from what angle you see it. Now, I'm not an expert on Eva Air. I imagine it has pretty much the same effect as the SAS writing on the new SAS livery, that it kind of fades, but really depending on the angles. But given that, yeah, we can see the image here, or we can see the aircraft model from different angles, and the 787 kind of changes how it is perceived, I think, yeah, quite nicely done here. But again, also an effect that I really look forward to really seeing in front of me with my own eyes. But a really, really lovely aircraft model. Love the orange, pops really well with the green. So quite exciting model as well here. And again, of course, here again, I'm a sucker for it. The details around the front landing gear. And last but certainly not least, we can also take a look at the sample model of the Korean Air 787-9. And the trifecta is completed with the Hotel Lima 8345, also an just over 6-year-old airframe at the time of recording. Why do I highlight the registration codes of all these aircraft models? Well, firstly, because it's new information. We didn't really have that before, but it also gives you the opportunity to actually Google these aircraft, specifically these airframes, and you can really start making up your mind, comparing, and see, if you are satisfied with the models. Personally, I think this is also a great looking model. Yes, the light blue color on the model is quite saturated. I have looked at quite a few images, and yes, I see on most images the color tone being a bit lighter, but this is definitely a color that changes quite dramatically depending on the light it is perceived at. I have also seen images where we get very close to this color. This is for sure something where I will reserve the right to wait with a full judgment. I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm just saying I want to see the model in front of me myself and then further compare it perhaps also with other Korean Air models to see where we are with the light blue color on this model. But yeah, just to prove my point, the more time I spend looking at these images and comparing it with real life images, the more I think it looks the same. It just my very first gut feeling told me this is a little bit too saturated, but again, the more time I spend with it, the closer I think it looks to the real thing. We will see with the final model. What I do like, however, is they have paid attention to, for example, the belly of the aircraft. It's not a bright white, but a slightly grayish white, which is exactly as the real aircraft has it on display. Alright folks, those were the very first images of the very first sample models of the very first models from Aether Model. A lot of firsts here. I'm very excited, as you might notice, but of course we do always need to remind ourselves we need to be cautious. These are sample models, these are product images, and although I don't really notice any mistakes as such, and the print looks really clean, I didn't see any smudges and stuff like that, and I do expect this is what we will be getting. But of course, until we really have the models in front of us, we don't know. So we do need to remain cautious, but cautiously optimistic, I would say we can be from what we have gathered so far. And what of course is also exciting is that, I mean, I think we have already a really strong standard when it comes to the amount of details we see with these models. And we know that there will be added even more details with the second batch, which is coming later this year as well. So really, really exciting times, I think, in Scale 500. Something I personally didn't think we would be saying this year around, and I doubt many of you guys would. If you did, then kudos to you. Then you were definitely able to foresee things much better than I did. But yeah, out of the blue, Aether Model came along and is, promising us some really, really nice things. But what are your thoughts now that you have seen the very first sample models of these three Dreamliners from Aether Model? What are your thoughts on them? Do you have any comments? Are you excited about them? Is there anything you think maybe that should be different? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's have a discussion and see where we end up with that. But for now, that is all the news that I could gather for you this time around. If you like this type of content, a like is always appreciated. If you're new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. And of course, thanks so much for your attention and for watching this video. I'm checking out, and bye.